Fish eggs in a tube.
That is disgusting.
So I broke my back. Alright, well, I'm here in Sweden. Well, Stockholm to be exact right now, but I'm here in Sweden for Sonax. Going to a car show, sign autographs, say hi, all that sort of stuff. But right now, we're going to talk to my good friend Pierre about a piece from Gymkhana 7 that he filmed that's never made it to the internet. So we're going to go through all that today. So you're going to see some Gymkhana 7 shot on Super 8, right, Pierre?
Correct.
So Pierre's very Swedish. He eats things like fish from a tube. You take random naps. You fall asleep at your computer.
Swedish people aren't known for taking naps.
So here's Pierre. Say hi, Pierre.
Hello,
No,
everyone.
so say hi, Pierre.
Hi, Pierre.
And Matt.
I'm filling in for Forrest this week.
So one thing about the three of us is we're on the credits for a show. Obviously, we did a lot of work on it called Gymkhana Files, and we're all together, along with a bunch of other people, nominated for an Emmy.
Three.
What?
3.
Oh yeah, 3 Emmys.
I don't remember what categories, but we're nominated for 3.
That's very cool. All right, so Matt's going to take over filming for me today. So here, Matt. So I've known Pierre for a long time. Why have I known Pierre? Because of snowboarding. So we hired Pierre when I was a chief brand officer at DC. Pierre was making movies under the production name Robot Food.
Yeah, correct.
And they made really rad stuff, but they stopped making snowboard movies. So we hired Pierre to make the Mountain Lab videos. So we made the first Mountain Lab video, which was like basically the whole introduction of what the Mountain Lab was. So the Mountain Lab was my second home in Utah because I lived in Southern California. But it was where we did a lot of research and development for DC's snowboarding product. So we had a rope tow, we had a bunch of obstacles, we had a rad little run, all on a private piece of property. So we brought Pierre out to make a movie with all of our snowboarders at this property. And that was really fun.
I think the Mountain Lab was really fun. It's like the ultimate boys club. At the time, he had a really big, thick TV that weighed like 300 pounds.
This was before flat screens.
With hundreds of video games and movies and everything. As a filmmaker, it was easy. Everyone who came there had a good time. But it's also challenging to make a snowboard video on 22 acres.
I wouldn't say that.
A little bit.
You had a lot of fun though.
Oh yeah, I mean, I think it was a really good time.
And so that actually was so successful that we decided to make a second video, but the snow that year wasn't very good. So we ended up calling the video Mountain Lab 1.5. And the snow was so bad that we ended up wanting to go film a bunch in New Zealand to make some filler in that video. And so I was doing some races down in New Zealand. They were going down to film at Snowpark and in the other areas around Queenstown for Mountain Lab 1.5. So I said, hey, I can bring this rally car that I am racing down there. I can bring it down to Snowpark and we could do this combined thing of me and the snowboarders. But we just started off doing like fun little things, turns and combined things of me sliding under the snowboarders jumping. And then we ended up doing some very big jumps. And that was the first time I used like WRC spec, ice and snow tires. And we just threw them on and I just started driving around and we were surprised how much grip I had, how much I was able to do. And then eventually we started doing the big jumps and that turned out way better than I ever expected. One of the photos, I think it ended up on 2 different covers of magazines. So like as a snowboarder when I was younger, like the dream would have been to get a cover of a magazine. And of course that never happened. I was never good enough. But to actually get a cover of a magazine later on in life, a snowboard magazine, but do it in a rally car, that was really quite unexpected. But the unfortunate part about that is there was one more jump that I did that didn't turn out well. It was a snowboard jump that basically the takeoff and landing were at the same angle. And generally with a car jump like this, you would make the landing much longer and a less angle. And I wasn't happy with the jump. I knew it was sketchy, but I was young and dumb. And I went a little faster than I needed to, even though we'd kind of worked out exactly the speed I needed to be. I ended up going, I think, about 3 miles an hour too fast, which at that speed, every mile an hour is about 20 feet. So I ended up jumping 50 or 60 feet longer than I needed to and ended up slamming the nose into the snow in the flats. So I broke my back, and basically by saying broke my back, one of my vertebrae compressed so hard that it cracked. My body went into shock. And so I just stopped and the car was damaged. Everybody ran over. And I'm like, I gotta get out of here. How are we getting me out of here? Like, so I stayed actually strapped in for a while because I knew my back and everything was stable. And
I was in the helicopter, and then the heli pilot, Alfie, was like, we gotta get you to the hospital. Can you make it to the helicopter? 10 minutes later, we were down at sea level.
yeah, and we flew right down to Queenstown, straight to the hospital, and they took me and looked at me. And basically they said, you have something wrong with one of your vertebrae in your back. Here's some pain pills. I had a flight home that day, so go get on the flight and have your doctor back in the States check it out. When I got back, they're like, you have a compression fracture, nothing you can do about it. It's like breaking a rib. You just gotta be careful. So I was careful, except for the following weekend. I carefully drove in a rally in the Rally American National Championship and actually won. I didn't tell anybody about my back, like in the race team or anything. I told them after the race that I actually had a broken back.
Yeah, it was a successful shoot, bad ending.
Yeah, it was worth it though. All right, well, one time we were doing some testing up in the Seattle, Washington area, and I noticed that following him on Facebook or Instagram or something, I noticed that he was leaving Whistler and that he was going back towards Southern California. So I texted him like, hey Pierre, did I text you a photo of where I was, or what did I text you?
You texted me a photo of the police station from the TV show Twin Peaks.
Oh yeah, so we were at Dirtfish. So Dirtfish is a rally school outside of Seattle, and it's on an old, must
mill?
be a logging mill type thing. And little did I know at the time that it was actually a famous set from the TV show Twin Peaks. And I had no clue to that. I had watched some of Twin Peaks. I definitely watched the movie Twin Peaks, the older one. And so I just said, hey Pierre, if you're coming through here, do you have a camera? Can you come film some testing and make an edit for us?
Twin Peaks, the TV show from the 90s, was bigger in Sweden than Game of Thrones is now. I didn't know where it was. So the fact that he was 50 miles away and I just happened to be in the general vicinity of the country to go there and relive Twin Peaks. It's seriously like people reliving Game of Thrones in New Zealand or Iceland or wherever that show is filmed. Like I had Twin
Or
Peaks.
like Lord of the Rings people that go to New Zealand and go to like the Hobbit sets.
Yeah, it was incredible. I had the Twin Peaks soundtrack in my phone, in my pocket, walking around like the pine forests, and it was surreal.
And then he's looking up like all the other locations around where the rally school is for like different scenes, and then going and taking photos and matching them up with like the shots from like the intro in different parts of the movie and the TV show. So I mean, it's funny. We end up doing these different edits and fun creative stuff, and half the time it's just like bringing someone like Pierre in, and he's like, oh my god, this is that, I want to mix that with this music and do this, and this instance just happened to be that Dirtfish is one of the sets for the TV show Twin Peaks. A couple of years ago, I built this Raptor, and the concept was to go into the backcountry and be able to access really good snow via like cat roads, but go faster than a cat does. Because a cat only travels like 15 to 20 miles an hour, and with the Raptor, I knew that if we put these tracks on it, we could go easily double that speed. So we'd be able to get five people around in the backcountry really fast, be able to have fun riding powder, shoot, film, all that sort of stuff. So we built the RaptorTrax. Jeff up at Baldface said, hey, bring that thing up here. Let's have some fun with it. So Monster paid for us to make a video. And so I said, hey, Pierre, come along. Let's make this rad video playing in the backcountry of Baldface in British Columbia. And that was just amazing. And it was a perfect mix of kind of my background of knowing snow and snowboarding mixed with the automotive experiences that I've had, and bringing Pierre in. And now by that time, Pierre had a lot of experience filming and traveling with me around the world. And so he was mixing that experience of the automotive stuff with all his knowledge of filming snowboarding in the backcountry.
You were such a fan of the heli footage that we shot there. Because when you shoot with the heli and the shot over cameras and the different gimbal systems, everything is kind of awesome. And then you were like, let's do a heli edit, because you could watch that for 10 minutes and everything is kind of awesome. And Baldface, the location, the mountain ranges, the truck, and there's no footage is already there. So
Yeah, well, that kind of brings us to Gymkhana 7 and where we're going with Gymkhana 7. Because we shot some heli at Gymkhana 7. But Pierre and I had worked really hard on what we needed to shoot for the RaptorTrax video at Baldface. I wanted this very particular intro. And I wanted it shot a very particular way. So Pierre and I actually worked together looking at a lot of footage, talking to the heli pilot about how we could shoot it. So there was a lot of effort put in between you and I on how to get this footage the way that we wanted.
because the opening shot is like 30 seconds or 20 seconds long.
All right, so we're actually here to talk about Gymkhana 7, but let's jump past Gymkhana 7 for now and talk about Gymkhana 9 and Gymkhana 10. Gymkhana 9 was the first Gymkhana video that was actually brought completely in-house at Hoonigan. And so we hired Pierre to be the director of photography for those films. So Pierre is actually the one that helps Brian set the cameras for every shot. You know, he and I will discuss the trick and what we want, and then Brian will take that to Pierre and say, hey, here's the angles and everything we want, and then Pierre goes and directs all the cameramen. So it's a pretty big job.
Yeah, when you shoot the Gymkhana videos, I might only have one shot of getting it. He might just go over the edge by the water once. So if my cameras are screwed up, Brian's gonna get really mad. But Brian trusts me, but he also knows angles, but he's too busy directing and also talking to the talent in the car. So when the car comes, he knows that I have to be ready. And then with the camera crew that we have, it's as nimble as a group as we can get while shooting action.
Holy bro, you're a wheel off.
So even with a Phantom, a Video Village, and like 4 really experienced cinematographers, I still mess up every now and then. And then Matt over here, I'll give Matt a camera every now and then. I did give you a camera when he was going over the railroad track.
In Buffalo.
In Buffalo.
Yeah. And you told me to set it to zebra stripes and hit the button when you think he's about to come over the jump.
He nailed the shot, but that wasn't a priority. Your shot was bonus. We ended up using it as a thumbnail.
Oh yeah, it's actually the shot that we used for the whole thing. And it's like perfect like slow-mo over the tracks as you come through.
It's unfortunate that I had a Phantom and 4 camera operators plus Hurt and Volkert not get the shot.
So the funny thing about a director of photographies are a lot of them come with their own style. Like we've hired Hollywood guys that have shot big pictures, but they come with wanting to put their own take or their own taste into things. And that actually becomes a problem because our videos are our style. That we shoot things a certain way because we want to get the action as clear as possible and as real as possible. And then you get these guys coming in that want to change that and make it their own. Well, the great thing about Pierre is Pierre's style actually works exactly how we like to shoot things. He comes from skateboarding and snowboarding where you want to shoot everything as real as possible, as creative as possible, but you want to show the action as strong and as simple as possible. So he started working on Gymkhana 9 right when we started making those videos all in-house, and he also went on to shoot Gymkhana 10. So he's actually in Gymkhana Files. Yeah, 2 of our biggest projects we've ever produced. You're a part of it.
Yeah, and like you were saying, coming from skateboarding and snowboarding, you have to emphasize with a wide angle or keep an honest angle with like a regular lens, not to make the action dumb. Like don't put too much foreground, don't get too short depth of field, don't miss the action. The art and the aesthetics you could apply a little bit, but you have to get the action first. I feel like Brian trusts me and you trust me. When the apex is happening, the camera gets it. But it's really important to me to show the action in an honest way, and I guess we have the same philosophy there.
Yeah, and some of the, with the last couple of videos with Pierre involved and all the production in-house, I just haven't had to nitpick as much. We've gotten great shots because I'm able to trust Pierre and Brian. They're getting stuff, in such a way that I prefer much more every time. Anyway, so that brings us back finally to Gymkhana 7. But first, before we get to the Super 8 footage, we're going to talk about the helicopter. So you were in LA. We're shooting Gymkhana 7. You're in LA. But why are you in LA?
I vaguely remember being there, possibly editing or doing color on the RaptorTrax video.
So we shot the RaptorTrax video in the winter, like February, and then the video didn't come out till October. So he had a long time to edit. And when he says color, it means he's making all the shots look a certain way on the video. So everything matches, everything has the right color feel that he wants. So you have to go sit in an edit bay with a colorist, right?
Yeah, it's actually one of my favorite things to do, because when you mix GoPro, heli footage, Reds, and whatever kind of cameras, as a filmer, you want a certain look.
Well, the snow thing's actually difficult because you're using all these different cameras, and snow has to look a particular way. And it can either look too yellow or too blue, and you know, the sun can be out, or it can be cloudy or snowing. So it's actually a difficult process with snow to make all these different cameras line up and look the same. So we didn't hire him to come out for Gymkhana 7, but he said, "Hey, I'm here. I want to come check out, you know, you guys making Gymkhana 7 for 4 days."
I invited myself.
Yeah, basically. And he's a talented guy, and he's in town. He says, "Hey, I just want to come hang out and play, shoot something." And so I said, "Okay, well, what do you want to do? You have to do behind the scenes, or you have to do something."
Yeah, you and Brian were like, we have all bases covered.
Right.
Like, what can you bring to the table? And I'm like, Super 8. Because the Mustang is from when?
The 60s, yeah.
Super 8 is from the 60s-ish. So I sold you on me filming Super 8.
Well, wait. Before we get into that, the last day we were shooting, we finally got permission. It'd been like 6 months of work to get permission to shoot above the Hollywood sign. And the best way to shoot it was going to be by helicopter. We were going to have cameras on the ground, but we knew that really the most epic shots were going to be moving around that mountain with a helicopter, being able to show the valley or LA, shoot the car coming up the road. Really epic shots, but I needed someone I could trust that I knew had shot in helis before, and we didn't have necessarily anybody in the crew at that time, either shooters or even the director, that I knew had a lot of experience with helis. So Pierre just happened to be there, so I said, "Hey Pierre, what do you think about getting in a helicopter tomorrow and shooting this whole scene for us?" Obviously, like, to be able to get permission to drive in and around that sign and the road up to it, because it's all government property. You have to have a crazy level of permission. I think the final level of permission was the mayor of Los Angeles. Anyway, really important. And this guy was in town doing this other stuff for us. And I said, "Hey, Pierre, got a job for you tomorrow." So he went up there and was director of photography for all those heli shots. And he shot a bunch of photos for us up there. And it turned out amazing.
The Hollywood sign is obviously iconic in itself. But then, like you said, the valley or downtown, it's not that much different than a mountain range in British Columbia. Like, if you're on the top, you have all this vistas to show. And I love a helicopter, and I love the technique, and I love that a helicopter could fly 100 miles an hour and keep a steady shot of it, which a drone or other things can't do. So keeping a horizon in there and like keeping the city in there, it felt very relevant to me to top off a shoot like that in LA.
Yeah, the opportunity to drive up that road was so cool. There was like a deer that jumped out in front of me, and it was like a rally road coming up there, and I was driving it blind. I didn't know what was ahead of me besides what I could see. And so it was just an incredible opportunity. I was stoked to have such a great crew of people working around to capture it, including this dude that just happened to be in town.
And we now need to really wrap this up, guys, because the sun is currently almost to your necks. So, like, your bottom half's blown out.
So why Super 8?
When I sold myself to go shoot Gymkhana 7 to Ken and Brian, I had to tell them that I was low maintenance. And
Untrue, by the way.
they had to pick me up a couple times.
There's a supply tacos.
Tacos and coconut water.
No, but for them to have a Gymkhana 7 shoot like already planned, and I wasn't part of that plan. But I'm like, I'm here, and the unicorns from the 60s. I love Super 8 cameras. They're from the 60s maybe. And let's do something period correct. I couldn't really be an asset to like another camera or something like that was already like planned ahead. So I just shot over people's shoulders and shot Super 8 and had a really good time. And I think a lot of the filmers were kind of envious of my camera. But that footage never made it to the internet, and that's why... Until now, and I'm actually on this computer.
So you actually haven't finished editing by this point too. It's been years.
Shocker. Pierre's still working on the edit. 4 years later.
The edit was done 4 years ago.
A rough edit.
I'm pretty sure the check already cashed, by the way.
How many planes are in there and random reflections and clouds?
There's a lot of art in the director's cut of it.
All right, so enough talking. Let's finally show what Pierre shot on Super 8, Gymkhana 7, the Unicorn. Can we go eat tacos here in Stockholm?
We can.
Wait,
Meatballs.
Pierre?
Meatball tacos.
What? That's not, ew. No.
They're Swedish meatball tacos.
Bye, Pierre. What are you doing here, Pierre?
Fish eggs in a tube.
That is disgusting.
It's really good.
It's not. Oh, not on your finger. Get a crack. Oh God. Oh.